Hello and welcome to yet another Gold Rush Daily. Today being on the 13th of November 2025, almost nearing half of the month. And today, this morning, gold is trading above 4,200 level. So it was able to break the resistance level that we had discussed yesterday. But before we delve into that, let's look basically a very interesting article that I was reading this morning, and I believe you can see this article. So the topic here, the title here is "Gold Hit 3 weeks top as Dovish Fed bets offset U.S. government reopening optimism." So you understand that. When the US government opens, definitely these might tend to strengthen the dollar, right? And if it is strengthen the dollar, then it means it might cap the gains for the for gold, right? So the key highlights here is that gold attracts follow through buyers on Thursday amid a supportive fundamental backdrop. Economic concerns and Fed rate cut bets undermine the USD, benefiting the precious metal. The optimism led by the reopening of the US government could cap the safe havens commodity. So basically, what the article is trying to say here is that today we see gold trading at about 4,200, above 4,200 level, right? But some of the key support fundamentals that are supporting gold, the reason why we have that bullish momentum is the concerns of a potential Fed rate cut, which, of course, if we have a Fed rate cut, it means that the dollar weakens, and therefore gold could gain out of this. So what you're trading now is the optimism of the potential concerns of the Fed rate cut, because remember we had talked about at least 2 rate cuts before the end of the year after the September rate cut, but we have seen already the first one happening. It happened last time, so we are still looking at forward to another rate cut, maybe probably before the year ends of 0.25 basis points. All right, so that maybe probably for the entire of this year we can talk about 75 basis point cut by the Fed. So metals tends to react, or markets tends to react to this kind of optimism, and the reason why we are seeing the dollar weakening, the reason why we are seeing gold buying. But as we near almost a government reopening, as there are optimism of the government reopening, this might again be able to undermine the bullish sentiments for gold, because if the US government reopens, we might be able to see a strong dollar, and a strong dollar means that we might be able to see gold push higher. People turn, I mean, we might be able to see not gold, but we might be able to see dollar index gain again. So dollar index might now turn as a safe haven. All right, so it's quite an interesting read, and yeah, it's quite an interesting read. So it's good to read this kind of news, so that at least you are informed in terms of what other people are looking at. All right, so looking at the fundamentals, you can see already the CPIs that were listed today, and PPI tomorrow has been removed, so we don't have any high impact news for the USD, right? So, but we'll keep following the discussion in the House of Representatives in terms of the potentials, or how far it has reached for the government to reopen. Remember, when we talk about Trump tariffs, I think this is a case that is in the Supreme Court, awaiting the ruling of the Supreme Court. They have already had various testimonies or evidence that have been presented. And therefore, what is pending now is ruling. And once the ruling comes out, maybe it might favor Trump, or maybe it might not favor his policies, because one of the key concerns is that Trump is acting with powers which he doesn't have, as he is going beyond powers to issue some of these. He is going beyond his constitutional powers to issue some of these sanctions or tariffs. All right, so we are waiting for that ruling, and so maybe probably in tomorrow's Gold Rush Daily, I'll be able to do a video in terms of both perspective, all right? Not even in tomorrow's Gold Rush, but in a different video. I'll be able to do a different video to look at different perspective. What happens if the Supreme Court, maybe probably, what happens if the Supreme Court says that Trump tariffs are illegal, or what happens if the Supreme Court supports Trump tariffs? All right, so that's it. So let's now jump into the technicals, and as you can see, gold has broken above this level like we mentioned yesterday. So we are looking at a potential of prices rising all the way to now these other level, because if you look at the 4-hour time frame, like we had said, the moment we see the price break above this level, then there is no any other hindrance, because the price will be feeling this imbalance. I remember in the afternoon, yesterday's afternoon session, we talked about imbalance. Price has to feel some of these imbalances, and therefore, looking at this, I am anticipating the price to push at least higher, and now see whether we are going to reclaim the 4,300 level, because we have already reclaimed the 4,200 levels. So the next level we are highballing is 4,300 levels, which is around this particular zone here, where I have which is around this particular level, right? This is the 4,300, somewhere there, right? So that's where we'll be looking at prices pushing to. So but of course, you know, the market doesn't push in a straight line. Of course, the you know how the market moves. So the key thing now for us is to be able to identify these key levels that the price is likely to react to. So first of all, this is the 4-hour time frame. This now becomes a keys level. This is an OB, right? Here we have an OB. So I can basically mark it like that. We have that particular order block, but we still have the resistance. The resistance that has been broken now becomes a support. Okay. So meaning that in the 4-hour time frame, in case you see the price push all the way to this level, because I've already seen a BOS here, if it comes to this point, then it's a good level to be able to look at some buying opportunity. So if you look at the 1-hour time frame, therefore you can be able to see now, we can be able to minimize that like that. So this becomes the 1-hour OB, where we are looking at and splitting. In case the price comes to this level, we might be able to see some buying opportunity. This level is also a demand zone, because you have seen the rally, we have seen the base, and then now we are seeing another rally, meaning that in case the price pushes all the way down to this level, then this is a very key point of interest to look at some buying opportunities. Okay, so on the other side, remember when we were looking at this particular zone here, this was basically, this level here is an order block that was violated, and therefore now that the price has pushed above it, it becomes a breaker block. And therefore, how do you approach this kind of a scenario? We might see an instance where the price comes to this level and then it pushes higher. Okay, so the best way to do this is basically to remind you, look at the highest and the lowest. So even from where the price has reached already, this level is in the discount level, so it becomes a good place to hunt some buying opportunity. So we will be looking at, in case the price comes back to the breaker, right, this particular point here, about 4150, these levels here, the price might come to retest at that particular level, and therefore it's a good level to look at some buying opportunities. Nevertheless, if that level doesn't hold, then we still have the order block here that we'll be looking at it pushing the prices lower, right? And in case we have a break below, therefore we'll be looking at some selling opportunities to this particular level as well that was broken, right? So but for now, we are looking very bullish. A lot of many factors that are supporting the bullish sentiment, like I mentioned, like we have read in that particular article. So let's basically try to align ourselves in the direction, the potential direction of the market. Now, when you come to the 15 minutes time frame, there are key things we can be able to see here. We have that particular BOS, okay? So, and therefore it means in case the price, this is an order block actually, and this is a potential level to be able to eyeball some buying opportunity because it's a structure. The price opened, pushed on the downside. Now we are seeing bullish sentiments, and therefore, if in case the price comes to this level, therefore we'll be looking at some buying opportunity. Nevertheless, in case maybe probably we see a break below this level, therefore we'll be looking at a retest and a push on the upper direction. We look for an order block or whichever strategy you use to look for your entries, and then now we look at some selling potential. This is about 223 pips thereabout that are tradable. And if you look at that, if the price breaks below this level, the logic will be now filling this particular imbalance as it comes to test these particular levels where we have said at this particular point we have a breaker block. That was an order block that was respected, but later on the price pushed down, pushed up, and broke above that. So we might be able to see a retest of the same. And when you look at this particular level, basically what it means is a support level, and within that support level we have that particular breaker block. So the first point of interest for the scalpers, is looking at some buying opportunities here. If that level is violated, then we'll be looking at some sells all the way to this point, and in this level we'll be looking at some potential buys. But again, if that level is violated, then we'll be looking at some potential sells all the way to this particular point. This is the 15 minutes OB. So from these to this, we are talking also of about 287 pips that are there for grab. Okay, of course, not expecting to grab the entire 287 pips. Of course, you get something out of it, even if it's 100 pips, 50 pips. It's not bad, all right? So that's what we are looking at today. So our sentiment is the buying momentum. Right now we are at 42.14 levels. So we are anticipating probably to see 42.50, and then maybe probably the price will gain the momentum to push all the way up to 4300. Really claim the 4300 levels. All right, so that's it for today's good rush. But this doesn't mean that you don't join the live market analysis. So maybe sentiments will have changed, so make sure you join the live market analysis today, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and let's have a deeper discussion in terms of what you anticipate for gold and other pairs like the major currency pairs, the indices, and the JPYs. All right. So until then, take care. Remember to be focused, to stay disciplined, and to always trade with a purpose.